Hello and welcome to the Redefining Spirituality Podcast. My name is Brennan Van Witchen. I'm your host. And I've got my good friend Josh Scrivano. How do you fucking say your name? Scrivano.
That's
My
so
bad. Scrivano. Sorry, my bad. All right, it's early in the morning. I just woke up. We've decided to film a podcast. Welcome. My bad. I was way off.
Thank you.
Scrivano.
Sounds like
my
an
bad.
Audi TV brand.
It does.
Scrinovo.
How's things, man?
Yeah, doing really well, thank you.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I think we've got plenty to talk about. For those who don't know, Josh runs his own podcast, which I was a guest on, 6 months ago?
Yeah,
probably.
about that.
Called I Think You Should Hear This. Is that it?
Yeah.
How's that all going?
Yeah, it's going all right. Like, I haven't recorded anything for a couple months due to being interstate, but we've got a few in the works, some stuff coming. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, nice.
Having some good chats. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's good fun. Like, I've been trying to... All right, Luna, settle down, please. Yeah, I've been trying to, just pump out the episodes recently because it's one of those things where I feel like if you're not, on top of it and actively, getting guests on, it just slips by.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, it's cool that, you were kind of just keen to just hop in this morning.
Yeah.
Because it was like, hey, man, can you do this? And you're like, yeah, I'm free for, these 2 hours Saturday morning. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it.
Dude, it's full on. Adjusting back into the chaos that is Melbourne life is ridiculous. But
yeah,
it is what it is. It's by choice. So
yeah, because so you went up to Northern Territory to play? Was it to play footy or did
yeah,
you?
yeah. I actually went up for the purpose of playing footy. I worked up there as well, but the footy was what took me up there. Yeah.
So is that? So what? Was that semi-professional opportunities or what's your?
It wasn't specifically paid money, but it's just the opportunity to play, and it opens up a lot of doors just from meeting more people, getting your name out there, because there's only it's only in Darwin are they playing footy at that time of the year.
Okay, yeah.
Opportunity for development and just to try something different. I don't think I ever would have lived in Darwin if it wasn't to play footy up there. So
yeah, because how was it? Was it better than you were expecting or
Dude,
what?
So much better. I actually loved Darwin.
Right.
I can't wait. I'm going back in September.
Yeah, nice.
I really loved it. It was just, it reminds me, or it makes me feel like it's what Australia should be.
Yeah,
right.
it's
what Australiana, OG, Australia. Not that I even drink, but it's there's pubs everywhere.
Yeah.
All the blokes are in their stubbies, thongs, high vis singlets,
It's
and they all finish
land
off.
down under spec.
Yeah, literally. It's Crocodile Dundee IRL. They go into the pub straight after work. Pints are beers are cheap. Down here, it's $14 for a pint or whatever, and they would spit in your face if you told them that. There's no craft beer shit. They just drink normal beer. They just hang out and do Aussie bloke shit. They all smoke analog darts as well. Everyone down here vapes fucking strawberry ice, whatever the fuck. They just people even young people smoke ciggies. It's so funny. It's like going back in time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, it's good.
But I love it.
It's very funny though, because I've worked with a few people from Darwin, and you can just tell when someone's from there. They've just got Darwin energy.
Yeah, dude, everyone's so laid back. I've really noticed the contrast from there to here. I work in the bank, and I'm sorry for the wait, guys. It's all right. Got nowhere to be.
Yeah.
In Melbourne, they're just come on, hurry up. And it's dude, you're not going anywhere. You're retired. You literally have nothing to do. And in Darwin, they're it's all right.
11 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon and they're freaking out.
Yeah, it's just, and the population size is so small there compared to here. I work in the middle of the city, the CBD, Collins Street of Melbourne. There's no traffic. I get an e-scooter to work. It takes a couple minutes. There's 2 cars. That's peak hour traffic. It's just so chill.
Yeah. And did you experience the torrential rain as well?
Yeah. I was there for wet season. So we got They say it was the driest wet season for like 20 years. And
Awful on,
yeah, everyone was like, oh, like, where's the rain? We're not getting a wet season. Like the humidity was definitely there. It was super sticky all the time. Like you're constantly sweating. But we had like a couple downfalls of like 75 mil, 80 mil overnight. But like you wake up in the morning, you wouldn't know it's rained because it's so hot. It's just evaporated. The only thing is like the light shows. There'd just be lightning and like it would be so far in the distance there'd be no thunder. So like the sun would be setting and you're just like watching sparks go off in the sky. It was actually really cool. And you had some rain or like you'd be at work and you'd just see like, oh, it's raining. And then like half an hour later you're like, oh, it's hot as again. And because it's just rained, there's like steam coming up off the ground. Like you can feel the heat coming back, like evaporating. But yeah, the thunder and lightning, like at night you're asleep and it's like, boom, like cracks loud as like it's you feel like it's hit your house, like it wakes you up and you're like, oh, like what's going on? But yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, because there's so like the elements are just so different up there.
Yeah, best sunsets in the world. Like
yeah, they would be.
The sunsets were amazing. That was really cool. Yeah, super different environment.
Well, because I mean, like when I guess it would be similar. Like when we went to Esso, like. What, last year or whenever it was?
Yeah, last year, yeah.
Like it was 45 degrees every day.
Yeah.
But like the sunsets were unreal because of like just the heat and the dust and like everything.
Yeah, and it's so vast. Like there's just no ugly buildings or anything in the way. You just see like land, sunset.
Yeah. Well, did you ever meet? Yeah, you met Quinton briefly, didn't? Yeah. So he lives out in like, I don't know how we managed this, but he lives out in this like house. Right where you can see like hanging rock from his like kitchen window.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and like
like Mount Macedon.
Yeah. And yeah, out there, man, like he's like because I stayed there a night and we had like the most unreal sunset, and I was like, what the hell, man? He's like, oh, dude, this is like every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Like just these like incredible views, like sunsets, sunrises, all that kind of stuff, and yeah, and I'm just like, why am I living in Frankston? Like, this sucks, man.
I feel the same. That's why I'm going back. Like, I'm going back to play footy again, but I really miss the lifestyle because you don't have to commute anywhere as well. Like, it's such a small city. It's like being in Bendigo, I guess. Everything's in close proximity. So, work's 2 minutes away. Footy was 90 seconds away.
Yeah, right.
The airport's 15 minutes away. You gain 2 hours a day because you don't have to drive everywhere as well. Like,
so is that like, so when you say you're going to go back up there, you're going to live back up there and then move back down?
Yeah, I'll probably do the 6 month thing like for another year or two, just because like I want to, like I'm 29, footy's like not forever. So while I can play footy all year round, I'll do that. And then I could definitely see myself either like moving up there or to Queensland because the cold I'm like really struggling with.
Yeah, because I was going to ask is, like chasing it for footy, like do you have prospects to try and make that a professional thing, or is it just...
Nah. There's like the difference in like talent, athleticism, all that between like AFL and like local is... It's ridiculous. Even between AFL and VFL, which is like the second tier competition, is insane. There's not a chance. I just love it.
Yeah.
So
fair enough. Cause because I'm like watching your stories on Instagram and stuff, and you're literally just like got a bunch of footies and you're just kicking them from like 50 meters out and just grinding. And I was like, oh man, he's like dedicated to the craft, like, and he's moved across the country for this. Like, I wonder where he's going with it.
No, I just really love it. And like so many people do jobs that they don't like. Not that it's a job, but it's like we're always like, wow, I wish I could just find a job that I just love. Like, for work, that's really good. It's like, well, if I can find something that even if it's not work, if that's given me the opportunity to move and I like really love doing it, I'm just gonna chase it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and it can lead to like coaching prospects and stuff like that because I do coach.
Yeah, true.
Like I did have the opportunity to move to New South Wales to play. Like University of New South Wales hit me up and like, oh, we're always looking for a player that can coach.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, something to like keep in mind. Like you never know these things are available until you like you try and put yourself out there. I guess like I had opportunity to go play in Kalgoorlie as well, like in the goldfields. And I was like. Nah, that's too hot. Too lonely as well, I feel. Like, it would just be, depressed miners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that they're all depressed. That's such a yuck statement to say.
But it is a lifestyle. Like, I have a mate who has recently, I'm not too sure what he's doing, but he's doing some kind of like mining work where it's like digging and feeding tube into it. And yeah, he's doing like decent days. He's making a lot of money, but he's like, mate, like the lack of mental stimulation doing this stuff is just like killing me. And saying like a lot of the people, they do just like, because they have all this money and nothing to do and there's like no stimulation, they do end up like just partying a lot and drinking a lot and just kind of indulging in just drugs and whatever. But
yeah, that's why I was like, I could not see myself in that scene at all.
Yeah, but like that is the thing, man. Like, you got to do something that's stimulating. Like, as I said, like I climb trees for a living, which is just the most like wild,
that's
wild
insane
thing to do. But it does have its downfalls. Like some nights I go to bed and I'm like anxious because I'm like, oh my god, I have to like get up in the morning and risk my life all day again, just to like.
Are you less or more anxious when you know you've got like something big the next day? Like, would you rather not know what you're getting into, because then at least you don't have it in your mind going, I've got to go 30 meters in the air?
It depends. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's like one of those things. I think it depends how early I know. Like, if they're like, oh, what's on for tomorrow? And they're like, oh, you got a big climb tomorrow. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, that means tonight I'm like going home, eating some really good food and like going to bed early. So I'm like, on the top of my cognitive ability to actually do it correctly. Rather than like, just hang out at night and just fuck around and take the dogs for a massive walk or something. Then I'm tired and rock up in the morning and they're like, oh yeah, mate, you're going up doing like this massive removal today. I'm like, oh God, like, I did not want this.
Yeah. How do you, like, excuse my ignorance, how do you get 30 meters up? Do you have to like scale it, or like, do you have booms? Or?
So with like a 30-meter tree, basically, the easiest and like the fastest, because like there's a few different climbing techniques, but the one that I use is called single rope technique, which basically you have like a 16-ounce beanbag essentially thing that's like this big on a piece of like, it's a bit thicker than like fishing wire. It's like this thin rope, and you'll essentially kind of like, it takes practice, but you kind of like launch it and throw it, and you try and get it over like a branch like really high up in the tree, and then that comes down, so that'll like, it weighs itself down. You have this thin rope, and then you basically attach your climbing line to the thin rope and you pull it back through, so then you have like a rope over the union that you want to get into, and then you tie a knot and that knot ties to it, and then you climb up the rope with like stuff that attaches to your feet, and like, yeah. So you literally like just climb vertically up into the tree, and then once you're in the tree, then you can like, if you don't like how you've set it up, you can reset it to like a safer union and everything like that. But you basically want to be tied into the highest point of the tree, because the more leverage you can get to all the different areas, the easier it makes it your life. So yeah, you tie up and then tie into the top of the tree, and then from there, then you head back down and like do all the work you need to do. But otherwise, like the other way of doing it is if you're wearing spurs, which are they're like the spikes that attach to your feet, but they will like damage a tree. So you only wear them if you're actually getting rid of the tree. Otherwise, you can cause like a lot of issues for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's nothing easy about it. Like, it's full on.
Yeah.
But that's
I could imagine.
But that's why I got into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like, again, like as you said, like, you want to find something that you enjoy throughout the day. And yeah, before I got into trees, I was kind of like got talked into doing car detailing, but it was like, it wasn't on the premise of like, hey, this is a really good job. It was like, hey, this is like a job where you can make your own hours and you can get people to pay you cash so you can avoid paying taxes and like, and like kind of do your own thing. And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds good. And then, yeah, just didn't have the passion for it. And I was just like, I hate this. And then, customers are always like trying to like pay you less. And like, it was just, really shit. And then, just hit a point where, I think just simply because I wasn't passionate about it, like the work wasn't manifesting for me because I just wasn't interested in it. And just like slowly got more and more into debt, and like was in like an unhealthy relationship at the time, and like all the aspects of my life were not really going to plan. And I think I just hit this breaking point where I was like, what am I doing? Like this sucks.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't enjoy my job. I have no money. Like it's just like everything's just shit. I was like, I need to make a major shift. And because I've always like obviously got aspirations to be a musician and like all that kind of stuff, but making money through music is a very, very difficult thing to do. And I was like, okay, cool. Like what would be like the coolest day job that you could have besides being like a rock star or like a motocross rider or like something crazy like that? And I was like, man, like what do I like to do? I was like, oh, no, I like to be outdoors and I like to, do like physical labor and I like nature and all this. I was like, don't really want to like mow lawns or any like do gardening and all that because it's not really like stimulating. And I was like, oh, what about like climbing trees and like cutting shit down with chainsaws and all that? And I was like, that would be fucking cool.
Yeah.
And then just like dived headfirst into it. But I remember the first place I worked, like, is at the time I weighed like, I was like 55 kilos or something, or 57 kilos. Like I was just like nearly anorexic.
Yeah.
It was disgusting. And I remember like the first place I worked, like the shock on my body was like insane. And I wasn't even climbing trees. I was just like cutting logs, carrying logs, chipping stuff. And I remember like I would literally get like RSI through my arms and like have to spend my weekend like putting like just hot pads and stuff and like heating my arms up and just massaging my body because of how difficult it was adjusting to doing such hard labor. And the people I was working with as well, like they were like, a lot of them were like big boys, like 100 kilos, kind of had like lost weight from doing tree work kind of thing. So they're able to like carry these massive logs and shit. And then just people being people, just, a lot of whatever frustrations they had were like directed toward me, and they'd be like, you need to carry more, you need to do this. I'm like in so much pain doing this. Like I'm trying my best. But ended up, just kind of sticking to it, and you just kind of work through it and just try and eat well and eat as much protein as you can and sleep as much as you can. And eventually your body kind of adjusts to it. But like, I still feel it. Like if I have to climb like a big tree and do some hectic stuff, like one day, like I have to be conscious about like the rest of the week. Cause I'm like trying to catch up on energy and all that. But it's not the most sane job, man. Like there's very, like I was saying to Andy, my last guest, cause he's an arborist as well. Like there's very few jobs I feel there are in the world where you like rock up to work and you're looking at what you have to do and you're just like, all right, like I might die doing this. Like it's a possibility that I have to think about. Cause like there's so much complexity in doing tree work. Cause like for starters, like you're at death height, like, you know what I mean? Like say you're like 20 meters off the ground hanging from a rope, and then you're using a thing that can literally like, if you touch the rope with it, that's it. Like, but not to mention that, like, because trees are organic things, like there may be a hollow that you can't tell that's in there. And when you go to cut something, it ends up going the wrong way. And like, you might have a big piece of timber, like swing back and hit you or something like that. And then, say you're like having to rig stuff. So say there's like a massive limb over a house or something, and you have to set up a pulley system and have a rope on it so they can let it go down. Like even that can be dangerous because you've got multiple ropes through the tree. Like if that rope is touching your rope and you're not paying attention and you cut that limb and then it like starts going down, from the ropes rubbing just the heat, that can cut your line in half and make you fall from the tree as well. So like you're always like having to think like it's full blown like adrenaline the entire time. But there's nothing like it, and you get paid really poorly for it as well, which is cool.
For the risk you're taking.
Yeah.
You know what really hit me? What you said was, not many people like wake up, get to work, look at the job, and go, "I could die today."
Yeah.
But I feel like there's so much anxiety in society that's what people's nervous systems feel.
Yeah, for sure. Well, like, they just black pill.
Yeah, like they're just like, oh, like you know, people just go into a manic wreck over work. My God, there's so many customers. Like, wow. Like, brother, chill. Like, you're not gonna die. Like, they'll be gone soon, and it'll be okay. Like, you're the 18-year-old Macca's manager that's like, we need to do some blah blah blah. It's like, dude, relax. No one's gonna die. They'll get fed. Like, it's all right. Get fed. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like society's so cooked that people need to step back and go, this won't actually kill me if this doesn't go well.
Yeah,
you
just
know?
need to breathe. I like, do you follow Alex Hormozy?
Yeah.
I like something that he says, he repeats quite often, is he shares you basically say, like, most people are, like, really scared of failing, but it's like, they think that, you know, they're going to lose everything if they fail, or they're, like, going to die or something. But really, you just go back to zero and start again. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, if
you'll learn something in the process. Yeah.
It's really funny because I have, like, some dude on Facebook. I forget his name, but he, like, uploaded. He's like a multi-millionaire or whatever. I don't know. I can't remember how I got him on there, but he's got, like, a post from, like, Alex posting on his profile, like, 7 years ago, being like, man, I want to be as successful as you someday, dude. And I was like, wait, so this is the mentor of this dude who's, like, one of the most, like, prolific businessmen in the world now.
Yeah.
It was wild.
That is cool.
Oh, but yeah. So what else should we talk about? How about, let's get stuck into what's on your hoodie. The Men Over Matter again. So
yeah, I thought I'd do some.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I was like, that's pretty clever.
So yeah, Men Over Matter. It's a men's group. Yeah, what do you want to know?
Well, so I went to that one free event, which was kind of cool, around the lake, whatever it was called.
Listerfield, like
yeah, that was good. And I just think it's like, well, that's kind of, Men Over Matter is kind of, I guess, like the main talking point I wanted to get you on the show for, because obviously, like, you know, talking about, like, redefining spirituality, like the whole concept of this podcast is to kind of, you know, like, question the narrative of things that are going on, because, you know, there's so much, like, just to do with, say, like, whether it's like science or religion or even like spirituality itself or just society and politics, like, people have been, like, kind of indoctrinated into believing that there's so many rules and limitations about the way they have to live their life. Whereas I think that obviously, like, you know, with Men Over Matter being, like, men's mental health, like, that's always been a major thing that's been needing to be pushed, because obviously we all know that men have, like, extremely high suicide rates and the, you know, a lot of the burdens that a lot of them kind of bear. So it's always like, I like to talk about the things that are going to impact people's lives in a positive way. But I thought it was cool, that free one that you did, because I've always wanted to, like, come along to one of them, but, like, the timing is always just not really worked out, because what, you typically, like, camp overnight.
Yeah, it's always like, the retreats are over a weekend, and then the free events usually on a Sunday morning. So it's not the most accessible thing, but it's also like,
it's pretty
when
exclusive.
Else do people have? When do people have the free time? Like, I can't do it during the week, so
just take time off work. And
it's hard. Like, it's funny because it's like, well, you know, it seems hard to access, but also it's like, that's because the last thing we put first is our, like, mental health and peace of mind. So it's like, no, I can't. I'm working Saturday morning, man. It's like, all right, like, for the job you hate, for the boss you hate. It's like, why don't you put yourself first? You know, it's like, oh, I've got this on. It's like, yeah, all right. Like, keep finding excuses to avoid doing the work. You know.
Well, I guess a good question is, because so did you founded Men Over Matter? Yeah. And, like, so what inspired that, and what was the process? Or was there a lead up to you being like, I must do this? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny. I was listening to a Diary of a CEO, a podcast last night. A friend recommended the episode to me, and it was about, like, redefining masculinity, or almost, and, like, the struggle that men have in the dating landscape, health landscape, all that sort of thing. And there was a part I reshared on my story about community and men's groups, and how, like, you know, the conversations that we have, like, at Men Over Matter, conversations that, like, men should be allowed to have with their partner, with their family, with their friends. But the fear of judgment or the fear of being vulnerable or seeming like weak in front of those places is like is no good. So having a group of men like a group council of people that you can lean on, you know, like your boardroom that you can pitch ideas to or pitch your problems to, that can give you feedback, that are all on the same boat, like seeking the same sort of thing. It's just like self-improvement, I guess.
Because I do understand that, because like I think it just comes down like biologically, is that, you know, even as you know, like the father's role in the family is to lead, you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, one of the main things for a leader is to kind of like set an example of not showing vulnerability, because like if you can, you know, always like show up and be there for everyone and have like a real positive impact, it kind of makes a lot of people kind of see you and be like, okay, he can manage this at this capacity, so therefore I can manage it at a lesser capacity. It gives a sense of safety. So kind of like it is tricky for men to express vulnerability, because there is kind of like that character that needs to be upheld.
Like the classic, all the stoic leaders and all that sort of thing. They're unwavering, like in front of adversity and that sort of thing. But those guys have always had people to lean on. Like they're like the unheralded heroes. Like, you know, you know, like someone's got to, like, you've got to let it out somewhere, whether it's to a wife or to your right hand man or to like your best mate or something. Like there's always something that comes out. And I've found from my experience as a man, it's always at like kick-on. So like at the end of a night, how often does he make go, I love you, man? Or he's like fucked up.
Usually when they're on MDMA and
but
pretty cooked.
But they never do it sober.
Or
they go, oh, like, I just miss it so much, when they're pissed as. But they'll never tell you in like a sober setting, and they really want to let it out. But they can't, because they know. Oh, they don't know. They assume it could be used against them, or they don't want to seem weak. But then, like, when the barrier's broken down by like a substance or a beverage, then it comes out. So it's like, obviously it's fucking there.
100%,
So I wanted to create a space that people felt safe to do it without any other influences.
So how do you, like, have you found that there's really like, because obviously like men will be coming to this, but like, is there a certain like method that you try to use to kind of bring their barrier down to help them feel
safe? I'm glad you asked this. So the whole point with Men Over Matter is we do most, like, it's pretty much physical exercise. It's getting out in nature, getting moving, and that way you don't have to just sit, look at each other and talk about, this is my issue, man. What do you think?
And someone's on their phone.
And Like you're doing a physical activity, and like the science shows that men work best like side by side, like either walking or 45 degrees, like in workshops. Like that's why they have men's shed, and they all sit around a table and they build stuff and they talk. You don't have to look in the eyes and intimidate that sort of thing. So at Men Over Matter, we're doing active stuff. So all the retreats are a hike, and we carry a backpack full of weight, and I give a good spiel at the start, and that's about, you know, the burden that men carry every day, the stuff that they're carrying. And the longer you carry it, the heavier it gets. You can't take it anymore, and that's when you.
Well, I thought that was really clever. Like the one I came on, where you're like, we're gonna like carry the weight, and then fucking poor Danny that I brought along, because I was like, my mate's like doing this thing, and you know, just going down the lake. It's gonna be really chill. Like I think there might be like a little bit of physical activity, and that's it. So I remember like we both rock up wearing like jeans and like just Converse, shoes and shit, and we're like, we rock up and all you guys are like in shorts and you're like ready to go, and I was like, oh man, what have I done to him here? And then, but I thought it was really cool, like, because like obviously everyone had to carry like a 10 kilo weight or whatever, and it was like, like the metaphor for like, you know, we have to carry the weight together and help one another and stuff. I thought that was cool. And then like did the hill run, which was good fun, and then. It was good, because after that, everyone's just like fucked from running up and down that hill a few times. And then, you know, that was a good opportunity to kind of slow down and talk to everyone as well, which I thought was really good. And like everyone in that group was really just like open and willing to talk about, like the things that they were going through and their like it wasn't like, I remember like one of the blokes, one of your mates was saying how he like, started seeing his partner or whatever. And I think he put like a mirror up in the shower or something. And she was like, oh no, I don't like want my kids to know just yet. And he was saying that like previously, if that had happened, he'd have like flown off the handle because of, it's like, oh, what, aren't I good enough kind of thing. But he was able to understand it because he was able to kind of like, he was able to talk about it with a healthy group of people and process it in a healthy way. Because, there are so many different, like, people have their traumas from growing up and they have all these things. And, like, sometimes you just need that outside perspective to,
100%.
Rationalize things a bit better.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, it's huge because, like, all that stuff, like, if he was having that thought and he didn't have anyone go, dude, like, that's her choice anyway, or it's not because you're not good enough, or you can have that conversation rather than it just like bottling up in your head and then like exploding, and then she's the victim of your outrage. It's like, how about you just get it off your chest, share it around, and then you get some feedback. Oh, cool. All right, didn't see it that way. Or like, what do you use in this situation when this happens? It's like, oh, okay, I'll take that on board. Thanks for that. Like,
because you never know as well, because like, I think that's where a big issue is, because she may have like dealt with like an abusive father at some point or something. And like, him being, a man cracking the shits can trigger something in them. And it just, it kind of, but something that I found interesting as well was, you said something earlier and I was like, oh, that's a good point to talk about. I think it was to do with, possibly the dating pool. I can't remember. I might have to come back to it. I'm trying to think.
Please cut me off if you find something that you want to go on about.
Yeah. That was...
just like masculinity and stuff like that.
Yeah. So something that I've always... I don't know if this was what I was going to talk about, but it is something that I want to talk about.
Yeah, go for it.
But something I always found was like... So to me, the thing that I've always felt like in relation to like leadership and like the male role in the family... is that the way I've kind of always viewed things is that, like, as a man, I've always felt that, like, you should try and take on, like, the leadership position and try to, like, have, like, the stoic, stoic lifestyle and, like, set an example and always, like, try to support the people around you in, like, a healthy way. But I've always felt like one of the main roles of, like, a partner, like, as in, like, a wife or girlfriend or whatever, is to be able to give you that vulnerable space so that, like, because as a man, like, regardless of what society thinks the roles are, like, the men were like the protectors and the providers and everything. And that's like a very important role to keep having. And I've always felt that like it is a stressful life for men. Like, we do have to do a lot and go through a lot, and having a supportive partner who, once you're together, like, in the bedroom, the doors closed, like, everyone's out, like, that's where you can have that vulnerable safe space with your partner. But like, that's where a lot of, like, the let's call it a epidemic of porn is ruining things. And like, like, it's the actual connection between like men and women in a relationship is being like quite tarnished in a lot of ways. Which is what I feel is a major issue.
Well, because you don't men aren't actively seeking partners like that because they can just get it in 2 minutes in the palm of their hand on their phone, and the unrealistic expectations that people have based off Instagram, porn, like just social media in general, make it so hard. Like the dating pool is so small because crazy, it's like, well, for girls, like, he's got to be this, he's got to be that, and if he says this, he's not good enough, it's someone else. And then it's the same for guys and girls, like, oh, if she's done that, if she slept with this person, blah blah blah, like all these things. Is like, okay, like, who have you got to date now? And then also the other thing is like, because of social media and like TikTok and all that stuff now, it's like, oh, I went on a date with a guy and he did this, like, that's an ick. And now every guy's like, oh, I don't want to be called out on social media for like having a quirk or for like just doing some like normal shit. I don't know, like just some random thing, like wearing black Air Forces. I know that's a thing now. It's like black Air Force energy. You'd be like, fuck. Dude, yeah, it's a thing.
Oh,
and it's
man.
like, well, now what do I do? Like, I don't want to even ask a girl on a date because I could be roasted on TikTok or whatever.
For wearing the wrong shoes.
Yeah, literally wearing the wrong shoes for like, you know, something.
Mate, it's so
something
wild.
so random. So.
I was Danny and I were talking the other night, and he brought up. He was like cooking, and we just sit in the kitchen while he's cooking. And we're just like chatting shit, and he brought up like this crazy documentary he was watching where it was there's like a woman who's a body language counselor, and she was talking about how in I think Korea or China, like some
South Korea.
you know what it's about?
Yeah,
How, like,
keep going. Yeah.
how basically like their population is dying.
Yeah, there's what is it, like 3 old people for every young person, or like it's like yeah.
Yeah, it was like almost like a 1-to-10 ratio or something, and like no one's reproducing.
Yeah, it was the labor force versus retirees. It used to be 10-1, and now it's like 3-1. So all these retired people have no, like, you know, they're living off a pension, but there's not enough people working to make a pension because no one's having kids anymore.
Yeah. And it's
and that's happening like worldwide now.
And yeah, so this basically this woman who teaches about body language is like teaching people how to get laid again because they don't know how to do it to communicate with the other sex because they're dying out. And but he was also talking about like just in like Western culture as well, is that one of the major issues now, because like again, like something that I've always seen is, you know, one of the, like the major issues that I see in dating is that like there is no specific role for any gender anymore. So, you know, like, again, we used to, like, the men used to be, like, hunters, gathering, protectors and stuff. But, like, women don't actually need men anymore. Like, it's not a thing. They just, they can, you know, work, earn just as much, if not more money than men. They can order food. They can cook their food. They can drive, like, they can do everything that we can do. And therefore, it's like, well, yeah, why would they need a man?
Dude. I'm so glad we're talking about this because this is like literally the podcast I was listening to last night.
Yeah, if only to reproduce, and even that's been like the agenda of having kids is now like being pushed away.
It's economically not viable to have kids now because it's too hard to live. Yeah, like it's too expensive to. Bro, I went to buy a bacon last night. It was $22 for a kilo of shortcut bacon. I literally got the chick at Coles to take it back. I was like, no, I'm not paying that. Like that's fucking bullshit. Like, are you fucking serious? Like, you're not even meant to eat bacon. I was just being a pig anyway, literally. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's like divine intervention that I wasn't meant to eat it. But
haram.
It is. It's haram. They're an unclean animal. But yeah, dude, it's insane. And like the pool gets smaller and smaller, and then like, you know, the common like dating app thing is like if he's under 6 foot, then he's like not he's not good enough. And I was listening the podcast last night.
Even that as well, like on dating apps, like you can pay fucking $30 a month, and then when you do that, you can choose height limitations and it's like, brother, like
it's insane. But the thing is, it was like the stat was only 14% of men in the US are over 6 foot. So you've already cut off 86% of the population that you're trying to get with. So you've got 14%, and then you've got to factor in what you're actually attracted to.
Yeah.
Like, and then it's women usually want to date a guy that makes more money than them. Okay. Yeah. And then there's that, and then there's that, and then you go, I can't find any guys. It's like, that's because you've just cut out 90% of them.
But then again, like, you know, even now, like, that's, you know, I know that there are like heaps of men who are super insecure. Like, I know multiple guys who literally lie about how tall they are. And all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm obviously like very blessed to be as tall as I am. Like, but I don't take that for granted. Like, I'm very aware.
I'm jealous.
I'm very lucky. But yeah, he was saying something else as well, which was interesting about how, like basically, again, going back to the whole, like, men have to be earning more money than them and everything, like, because, like, I think, like, obviously, like, the main issue that stems here is just the focus upon just, like, materialistic shit and all that kind of stuff. Like, the real problem that has started is that, like, we've structured society in such a way that it was all about, like, what men could do and what men, like, could could achieve in, just like, it comes down to like the physical and the emotional, really. Like there's just this massive materialistic,
the masculine and the feminine.
It's just all about like materialistic stuff. And, prior to like this day and age, it was all about like work, earn money, this, that, and the other. And obviously like there was inequality in the roles, but we've just kind of over time.
I would say perceived inequality. I think there's like the nurturing stuff that the woman does.
That's what I'm kind of getting to. It's like the nurturing side of things was not valued, and like the emotional side of things has not been valued. And so because of that, we've now got all these women who are essentially trying to like replicate what the masculine role has been in society. And now that they've achieved that, there is no masculine role anymore, and women don't know what they want anymore because every man is turned into a pussy pretty much. And like men don't know what to do because they don't like they're lost, And there's a thing with women now as well, where apparently just off the bat, because they've achieved the things that they've wanted to achieve. Like, a lot of women do earn more than men. Like most women I know earn more than me, or like at least when I was working full time or whatever. But if they see a man who doesn't earn as much as them, and like given just the way that jobs are now, it's just like, that already cuts down the amount of like men they're willing to date. And then of course going into all the stuff that you think, like, I mean, that you said about, height, like all this, like politics, like all that nuts kind of stuff, whether you have a kid or not, like all of that, like who women in general are pitching toward are the top 20% of like male contenders, because that's what they're contending with. And then you've got this whole like 80% body of men who are like not hyper successful, who
that are not exceptional.
who and like, that's what's leading to, like a lack of love, which is leading to like porn addiction, or like being, attracted to all that kind of stuff. Women are realizing that there's an entire demographic to sell porn to, and they're, easy money, materialistic, capitalizing on all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, everything's in turmoil. It's terrible.
It's crazy. That's like, it's funny, they said that basically only 20% of guys are like what women want, right?
Valuable, like perceived as being valuable. Yeah.
So that means, let's say 80% of women want those 20% of guys. Let's do some maths. Like that's 4 girls to a guy. Like, let's just say it that way.
Yeah.
Those guys are going, fuck, all these chicks want me. Why would I settle down with one? And then chicks go, all men are pigs. They always like, it's like, well, they've got so many options. Like they're going to do that.
Yeah.
And then all the other guys are like, what the fuck? Like they can't get anything.
Yeah.
And then that also creates, problems between men and, what's the word? Like status, demographic as well. Because fuck, this guy gets them all and he's a cunt. And their ego is going to be boosted because they're getting all the girls. So it's like, it just creates a problem for society, like on a broader scale.
The internet really pulled some wonders on us, didn't it?
Yeah, dude, it's actually like
I kind of love it, in all honesty, though. Like I'm here for it.
Yeah,
like, I'm here for like just the chaos, man.
But it's like, what do they say? The stats are insane. It was like they did a study, and it was like, I think 0, like it was very little of the men that were 18 to 24 to ever asked a girl out.
Oh, really?
Like in person, yeah.
Jesus.
And the like marriages, like percentage of people, how people met is like, just gone online, insane. Yeah. Oh, it's just a very, very, very weird world. And now it's like the first time in history where more women having kids over 30 than under 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's very bizarre, man. Like, cause every now and then I'll cave and I'll be like, I'm going to download Hinge or like something like that. Just cause like, I don't know, I might have like free time at night and like, I just,
yeah.
Cause again, like, I think like you and I are very similar in the fact that like we don't sleep around. We don't like, we're not interested in that kind of shit because it's just like, there's just no value in it. It sucks.
Exactly.
And, so like every now and then I'll be like, I'll just like download it and have a look. And it's so bleak, man. Like you see like single girls like in their mid 30s being like, yeah, I want children and da 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 da. And I'm like, can you imagine being in that position where like your clock is like, your time is literally running out and you're like like that would be so horrible to be in that position, to not have the choice whether you kind of have kids or not as a woman. Like that would be fucking nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's probably why they're like, oh, well, he's not the best, but I'll just deal with it. And then they have a kid who's like, the dad's probably not going to be present, or like,
but now they're doing all the, what do you call it? The fucking
freezing eggs.
The freezing eggs.
Yeah,
and
my friend's about to get it done.
All the kids are turning out with like severe autism and like all this kind of stuff. And it's like, oh man, like it's hectic, man.
Damn, I did not know about that.
Yeah. Well, at least from what I've heard, like I know people who have like their friends have done it and the kids are just not quite correct in the head.
Yep.
And it's like, well, yeah, like they were frozen for a couple of years before. Yeah. You know, like we're messing with nature here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess like the real question is like, what do you do? And like, I think like the best way to really go about it is again, like creating your own communities of healthy people. Yeah. And like trying to like, at least like set an example and teach people how to live a healthy life and not subscribe to, because that's the thing, like the only way to kind of win at this game is not to play it.
Yeah. 100%.
And I think like a lot of people are just very afraid to stand out or, you know, like go against the grain of what's happening. Because, you know, obviously people are going to treat you differently, you know, even like, so what happened when like all the lockdowns happened and stuff, like that divided everyone. Like that was just out of control, crazy shit. And, you know, it just really showed how afraid some people are to be perceived differently from the masses. Oh,
yeah.
So, yeah, but I think like that is the best thing that like you can do, like not even just as a man, but as anyone, is to kind of, again, like with this podcast, the whole point is to like redefine spirituality, to like go inward and figure out what you want to be and how to live your life correctly and stay true to that. Because I can't remember who said it, but I read this quote sometime when I was like a teenager, where it basically said like, rather than trying to convince others to follow you, make your environment so exciting that they can't help but pay attention to it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of the way I like to kind of live.
Yes.
Again, like we're just in like Zoomer era of like no attention span, no social skills, like all that. It's like, well, you know, it can be difficult, you know, losing lots of friends and not being around people and people thinking you're strange. But as long as, you know, you're healthy and you have good philosophies and a good moral code by you, like eventually you're going to find people who are seeking that, because people are waking up now. They're sick of what's going on. You know, they're a bit over all the chemtrails and the chemicals in the food and the inflation and the bullshit. And like, you know, so I think that, you know, doing what we're doing here is ultimately one of the most powerful things that you can do at the moment.
Yeah, just be the light. Your vibe attracts your tribe, that sort of thing. Like, I think as little as people want to admit that sort of stuff and like give you props for the stuff you do, people do like follow along. And if they do believe in it, they'll be like, oh yeah, cool. And then it'll start to make like micro changes in their lives. And, like, you know, even if they don't give you credit for it, like you definitely inspire people just by leading without fear of judgment. Just fucking 100%. Do it.
And as well, like, because you probably feel it as well, like, you know, doing like a podcast and all this kind of stuff, like you don't necessarily get as much as you want from it. But I do know that like I've had people who I didn't think would be even interested in the stuff that I do. Like, you know, they'll message me and be like, hey man, like listen to the recent episode, thought it was really cool. And like, so it is one of those things where you do just have to kind of have faith in what you're doing and that you are affecting people's lives, even though you're not getting the dopamine hit of the love reacts and like the messages and stuff.
100%. 100%. Cause it's like, oh, where's it, like, you know, give me my flowers, like on a platform so I can get more views and do that stuff. But like if someone's like, oh, that's really insightful, like appreciate that. No, all right, cool. Like it's worthwhile.
Yeah. Like it's, like again, like that. And that's the thing now as well. It's like, technology's like wild, but now it's also like trying to utilize that to kind of, you know, to make a following. But yeah, man, like there's just so much to fathom.
It's an interesting landscape, and it's all trial and error, and one day we'll figure it out.
well, that is it as well. Like I think we actually spoke about this on your episode, where we were talking about how, you know, we are the first generation experiencing this kind of technology. Like no one's done this before.
No, yeah, exactly right.
And you know, we are the not the pioneers, but we're the first to experience this level of technology at this like rate of evolution. And like, yeah, we're going to make all the mistakes that we need to make, and we're going to succeed at the things we need to succeed. But, you know, I don't think anyone was prepared for the damage that this would do to everyone.
No.
Like it's, yeah, like people are fucked, man. Like it's nuts.
We're just making it up as we go. Like they're like put out Tinder. They didn't think it was going to completely ruin dating. It was just meant to be for the incels, and now it's for everyone. Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, it's funny though, because I was like, I'm not a very outgoing person anyway for that sort of stuff. Like the fear of rejection is huge. And I'm like, I think to like help change the world, I need to like start doing that, putting myself out there more. Because it's like, after listening to that podcast, I was like, wow, men are bitches. And I was like, well, if I'm trying to be like a leader, male role model in the space, I need to like practice what I preach and start going up to random women and say, or like people in general, not just women. I shouldn't say
just harassing them.
Just like, oi, no, like being just like, hey, what's going on? How are you? Like I do that. Like it's part of my job as well. I'm in the customer service, but do it more. And just like, because people, you know, so often you walk past people and they've just got their head down in their phone.
Yeah.
If you had a positive interaction 9 times out of 10, you'd be less likely to bury yourself into your phone when you saw someone coming. Like how often do you see people go like walking, or they're like waiting somewhere, so they'll just look at their phone, so they don't have to make contact or talk to someone. But if you had if every time you did it, like if you're waiting somewhere, someone walked past, someone was positive and nice and like gave a good experience, you'd be less likely to hide because you know you're going to have a good interaction. So I think the more we practice doing it, the more people will be like open to it.
And on top of that, like we live in Melbourne, so it's like it just everyone just hates everyone here.
Yeah,
man. It's so bleak.
But there's so many people. So imagine how many good conversations you could have a day if we just put ourselves out there.
Well, something interesting that got brought up as well that I read once, like saw in a video once, is that like with your phone, because when people take like selfies or they're looking at their phone and stuff, they're looking at the photo of themselves rather than the camera. And so by default, now in general, like people are used to looking at like this part of their face, like rather than in the eyes. Yeah, right. Because they don't look at the camera anymore, and it's affecting people's ability to like keep eye contact and give them anxiety over it.
Yeah. Oh, that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's so many like just like micro like transactions that go on like within just whatever the hell's going on now, man. Like, but yeah, like again, yeah, that's the importance of, again, like with like men over matter and stuff like that. It's like, again, trying to make sense out of a world that's absolutely nuts, because you know, the nuclear family template like can't really exist anymore. Like it's almost like, you know, it's difficult to get by on one income. You know what I mean? Like it's like everyone has to work. No one wants kids. Everyone's addicted to porn and masturbating and eating terrible food and takeaway and doom scrolling and watching Netflix, and it's just like, what do you want?
What chance have we got?
Right.
That's why I like wanted to create a community like this. Like I was part of a community where it was like men and women, and I saw the value in it, and I was like, all right, men like need this specifically, like really bad. And then we can have these chats in like a broader group and go, oh, I'm not the only one that thinks like this. How good is that to have someone to lean on, rather than go, these guys in my work are fucking weirdos, man. Like, where are the normal people at? Where are the men at? And then he's like, well, they're over here, man. So that's the whole point of it. And not to like sound like we're like macho men that just go like do hard shit and lift heavy shit. It's like a conscious community, I guess. Like that's the whole point, is to if you want to get better at just being a man, get better at just be a better person, just self-improve, or to get stuff off your chest, or you just don't have a supportive environment, like, be a part of it, I guess. Yeah.
And it was cool as well because on my last podcast, so my mate Andy, he's part of a thing called Beard Villains, which is like a community of like guys who have beards and stuff like that, and they like go on they go for like motorbike cruises and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, kind of brought up on that episode, like just the importance of finding a community. So like in saying that, like for anyone who's looking for a community, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a men's community or anything particular. Like there are communities based upon like beards. Literally any interest you have. Like even,
so cool.
You know, you'll even like go take up like Muay Thai or something and you'll meet people who are interested in that because, yeah, there's a lot of like discipline involved with Muay Thai and it's very healthy. Like a lot of people be, you know, talking about diet and rest and be very involved in that. So like whatever you are interested in, you can find communities based upon your interests, which are quite important. I had another good point to bring up then as well, but it slipped from me. I got carried away. It was about men and women again. This whole thing's been about men and women. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just like, yeah, there's just so much just like dissonance everywhere. And yeah, as I said, like I think it's so important basically just to like shed that fear of being different from everyone because, you know, like you may be different from everyone, but you're not going to be depressed like everyone else is.
Yeah. And like, it's so funny because everyone's scared of standing out, but then like when you're the same as everyone else, like that's not cool either. Like when you see, you know what I mean? So what do you actually want? Yeah. And it's the fear of judge. Like I feel like people do so want to be the center of attention or stand out or like, you know, they're just so scared of who they are or they don't know who they are yet. So they're like, oh, well, I'll just blend in then.
Or they like double down on the things that they think is cool. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like I've always been very different though. Like just like the way I dress and the things that I do. Like I like to find my own niche things that I like to do because I don't like being part of everyone else. Because I did try that for a while. I remember like when I first got into tree climbing and everything and like got out of my old situation because I used to have like, yeah, all these piercings and long hair and stretched ears and stuff. And I was like, I'm going to get rid of all of it and like shaved my head and everything. And yeah, got rid of all my piercings and just went off in a completely different direction. And then, yeah, that's when I started doing like martial arts and like actual masculine activities and really kind of like explored the masculine side of things for a bit. Like I dressed very differently. I mean, I have facial hair now, but I like kind of like grew like a bit of a beard and like short back and sides. And then, you know, started buying clothes from like Kiss Chasey or like Culture Kings and like, you know, tried to be one of those men. And, you know, then I was like hanging out with, you know, the guys who were like, yeah, let's get the, you know, Jack and Daniels or like the double shot such and suches. And, you know, like we'll go out on the weekend and drink with them and go to St. Kilda and do lines and shit and hit on women and stuff. And I was like, this just like doesn't feel right for me. I don't really enjoy this. I prefer like just like chilling in my backyard with a fire and smoking DMT and listening to music and just like doing my own thing. You know what I mean?
Fair
enough. I like doing my own thing. And I remember one morning at my old house, it was like a Sunday morning and I was like in the backyard, like sunbaking and like, you know, took a photo of me and my dog just chilling there. And I had this boss at the time and like got to work and he's like just roasted me in front of all the boys, just like in front of like 7 or 8 of us. And he's like, and what the fuck were you doing on the weekend? What, you're just like chilling there with your dog? He's like, you should be out getting laid and fucking bitches on the weekend. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm just hanging out. And
that's
like,
so sad, isn't it?
But it was wild because I was like, okay, like, you know, rock up to work and these guys are like the alpha males and, you know, they all seem to have like a good time at work, and, you know, I'm trying to understand, and, you know, I was really just trying to like learn what they did to figure out, because that's what I believe in. I believe in like exploring different avenues until it makes sense to you, and then question it and go from there. And, you know, me never being like a masculine guy going into this field and being around these people, I was like, okay, like I want to learn what it is to be like masculine. So I started kind of like, yeah, copying what they did and hung out with them more. And it seemed really cool at first, but then, you know, there's always like that, you got to wait 6 months to a year to really understand the way that like the way people live their lives affect them. Because anyone can be good for 2 months and things are going well, but it's when things are not going well and how they handle that, that's what is important. And I'm hanging out with these people, and then, you know, I start picking up on the fact that, you know, on the weekends, you know, they're like getting really depressed, and they're all like gambling heaps all of a sudden, and they're like, you know, their lives aren't very good. They're having like arguments with their partners, they're having problems with their kids, and like you start picking up on these things, and you're like, okay, so like this is actually all tied into this behavior of, you know, getting on the bags and drinking every weekend and not taking care of themselves. And, you know, at work even, they'd have like outbursts, and then there's like certain people like getting into punch-ons and fighting and like all this kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, like this isn't really what masculinity is it? This is just like boys who never really grew up and think that, you know, like partying and taking drugs in your late 30s and 40s is like how to live.
Sad.
But it's not, you know what I mean? And so, you know, and then at that point I was like, I'm quite happy to get bullied for hanging out and enjoying myself on the weekend and taking care of myself and drinking protein smoothies and shit rather than alcohol, you know what I mean? And, you know, over time it became a thing where, you know, a lot of the boys that I worked with, like they're still doing what they were doing still. Like they're still like having arguments with their partners, or like not having partners, and, you know, just the same issues are still prevalent in their lives because they never grew. Whereas for me, like, you know, now I like work for myself, I have a podcast, I like create music, I like do all these different things. Like the growth has been substantial, because I did choose to go against the grain and figure it out for myself.
Well, you've started doing the work, and they've continued the cycle. And nothing changes unless you change. So like they're going to keep doing the same thing and then keep wondering how they got there. But until like something breaks, it's never going to get fixed.
I remember even at one point, like I was like in the group chat, and they're like just like sharing porn to each other and shit. And I'm like, what? Like, is that like...
like, I didn't know that people did that.
Yeah, man, it was absolutely crazy. And like, they were even like, oh, mate, did you see that, like, that video I sent you? And I was like, in like, just the concept of like masturbating to a video that my mate had masturbated. I was just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Like it was just... so
it's
weird,
like secondhand gayness.
Yeah, dude, like straight up. I was like,
hey,
what
do you put your dick to this too, bro? Yeah, no
mate, it was so cooked. Like I'd never experienced anything like that. But I think, you know, like the one thing I did learn is that, you know, like masculinity is one thing. Like there's many traits to it, but to be like a truly healthy individual, and not just like, and this is like both men or women, is that you need to also pay attention to, like, if you're a man, you need to pay attention to your feminine side. And if you're a woman, you have to pay attention to your masculine side, because you can't empathize or get along with the other sex if you don't know how to.
How are you going to have a healthy relationship when, you know, you need a hold space for as a masculine man, and then vice versa, you know?
Yeah.
Like you might need to have space held for you. And if a woman doesn't have the capacity to do for that, you're not going to feel safe to be vulnerable around her, and then you're going to start seeking it somewhere else, and then what do you got?
Yeah, it's nuts. And I think that's, you know, something that's really important, is because people see that as like, they're like, oh no, men have to be masculine and women have to be feminine, and it's like, well, it's not really the truth, is it? Like we both have both the sides to us, and like, you know, masculine side being like physical prowess and feminine side being emotional prowess. And I think that's what a lot of the issues are, is that like women are obviously like extremely emotional, and the reason they get frustrated at men is because men are just retarded and can't like express themselves properly. And that's where I feel a lot of it comes into, along with like, again, like I would hate to be a woman in the sense of how targeted they are by like beauty standards and magazines and like just their whole lives of being told like you're not beautiful enough, but you can be desirable if you do these things. So they've been just brainwashed their whole lives into believing that they're not beautiful creatures just naturally just from who they are. And so like already their perception of like what beauty is or what femininity is already like pretty cooked. And then to try and communicate with a man who's never like worked on his emotions and try to like bridge that gap to get along, it's just like not going to happen. Yeah.
Plus also men are also conditioned to think that women are only beautiful if they are a certain shape, size, can do their makeup properly or whatever.
And
so
also,
the standards are screwed.
Conditioned to like believe that women are just crazy.
Yeah.
Like don't get me wrong, like women can be pretty fucking nuts, but like it's one of those things. It's like
yeah, but it comes from like I don't think women are born crazy. It comes from like their insecurities being poorly expressed due to their past experience with a man or woman that like either it's a partner, a parent,
but it's also
a stranger. Like,
but it's also like that. Like I'm trying to find the right word for it because like craziness isn't the right word for it. It's like. It's like a sense of like emotional stimulation that you can't get otherwise, you know what I mean? Like that's them expressing what they are, but for men it's like a lot of men can't actually understand it or comprehend it, so it comes off as something that doesn't make sense. Yeah. But yeah, something like I've always felt like being friends with women and having like relationships with them is sometimes I find it easier just to think of it as like them not even being like human, like them being a different kind of like race because of how vastly different we are.
Yeah, well, was it they're from Venus, we're from Mars?
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. It's like, because we have, the same kind of like composition of cells and atoms and everything, we're like, oh, we are the same, but like we could not be any more different in like as of like matured more and more. It's anytime you kind of have an idea of how they will like react or should react to something, it's just not it. Yeah. Because of how different they are from men. And like I think it's important to kind of keep that in mind, that you can't just project your own beliefs onto other people.
Yeah. I think we really need to like educate more men on understanding how women are more emotional and men are logical. So when you go, she's crazy, it's like, that's because that's the way they think. When you're logical and you're like, no, like we're black and white. Yeah. We're there, the whole spectrum of colors. Yeah. And it's like, we know like this, we said that and that's going to happen. And they're going to come to any other conclusion in their mind. That's because we think differently.
But I think it's
like learning to communicate that, understand that.
But I think it's important as well to like getting into like a more spiritual sense of things, because obviously I do like, this is a spiritual podcast. You know what I mean?
Let's go.
Like, like your, like how do I put this simply? Like your intuition is your biggest guide in life. And I think it's like that's where women are extremely what's the word for it, like gifted in that sense, you know what I mean? Like their intuition is full on, and like women are like extremely powerful in doing that, because the thing is that like obviously men are like physically stronger and women are like emotionally more in tune, and because of that, like just the Dale age is like men used to like just fight it out kind of thing, whereas women had to figure out how to use their skills at the best way that they could, and that's why they they use their emotions and their intellect and their intuition to kind of like, that's how they got their way through the world. Because like not necessarily like manipulation, but manipulation of the skills that they had. But I think it's like, because we're in I guess like there's a spiritual movement happening now, but this is why like I'm not a big fan of like science as a religion type thing, because you know, like our world is always changing. Like even the speed of light has changed. Like it changes quite often, which means that like I have it written down somewhere. Someone sent me this mind-blowing thing once where it was basically saying like basically how we actually measure a meter based on the speed of light and all this kind of stuff. But apparently like the speed of light has actually changed, so the meter that we see is not actually exactly a meter.
Right.
So like even physical reality in general is oscillating at some vibrational rate. And so, you know, when we like subscribe to like just the definitions of science, because like science is never been like, in my opinion, it's not a true thing. It's our way of measuring the reality that we're in. It's our way of like measuring and making sense of it. Whereas there's always been this narrative now of like, oh, if science can't prove it, then it's not real. And women being strictly like emotionally and intuitive creatures, you can't measure that through science. So a lot of what they do has been dismissed. Whereas I feel like if that was focused upon more, because at the end of the day, like feminine energy and the emotional state and intuition, that is actually like the closest, well, not the closest, but that is like a basic form of psychic development. Like it's all psychic intuition. Like you're picking up on things ahead of time before they can happen. And you can't scientifically measure that.
Yeah. How often do you see in a couple where it's like, can't you tell I'm mad? He's like, what? I don't know. What is she upset about? It's like, guys can't read the cues as well as women.
but like what I'm kind of like meaning by that is that like, you know, being able to, as a man, like learn about femininity and explore your own emotions and intuitions and like develop your, you know, your psychic nature, so to speak. That's going to allow you to like empower the women that you're with. And because that's something that I've found, like I've like recently, like I've been going on a very like psychic spiritual journey for quite some time. And now it's like very difficult for me that I've found like now when I like go on dates or meet women or anything, is that like I can understand them much more than they've ever been understood before. And because of that, immediately they'll like kind of latch onto me. And I'm like, well, like I'm after something kind of specific. So it's made it very difficult to like date for me now because like it's almost like a superpower.
Yeah, emotional intelligence is pretty rare in men. So we're like, oh, I've got a catch. And it's like, I mean, you do, but...
but I think that's it. And like moving forward, as I said, like the importance in as I was saying, like creating a new template for what men and women should be. Like I think it really begins with, you know, men obviously taking care of themselves like in a physical and like masculine way, but the more you can actually develop your feminine side and actually like begin to relate to women is going to like, because obviously like women you know, they like, again, like they've taken on this masculine role, but the amount of like relief that they feel when they're actually understood, because from what I've seen, like, although at least the ones that I've kind of been around and communicated with, is that they do want to be supported and nurtured in that way. Like very few women actually wish to be like that assertive, like, you know, we have to be like the alpha in the situation. Like most of them want to be nurtured and supported by a healthy masculine energy. So I think that like going back to it, like working on yourself in a masculine way and working on yourself in a feminine way is the best way to kind of move forward.
Yeah, and actually, I guess I can announce it now. I'll actually be doing a workshop with a friend Mila on exactly this subject. Yeah,
perfect.
I think June 15 we'll be doing it. Or we haven't got a name for it yet, but from my...
Do you know where you're going to do it?
Down the peninsula.
Yeah, because I'll try and come along to it.
Yeah. It's basically like the divine synergy within yourself.
Yeah, sick.
Because you need both to have a healthy life, relationships, friendships. You want to, like, if you're going to be a parent, you want to teach your kid that as well, so they're not flying off the handle, you know, so we can create the next generation a more healthy, balanced human being. Yeah. Because people think like, oh, I'm the masculine, she's a feminine. It's like, no, you need that in yourself to like then welcome in a balanced person as well. Otherwise, you're gonna have that seesawing relationship all the time, and then you gotta go, this is toxic. It's like, yeah, because you haven't fucking worked on yourself, man. Like,
no shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what do you So have you announced this yet, or you just?
No, we did a photo shoot for it to like
nice.
do some flyers and that sort of thing, promotional stuff. Yeah, so that should come out in the next week or so. But yeah, like we did the Divine Union together last year, which was the same sort of thing, but we did it. There was 4 of us, so we've just condensed it. So Miller obviously take the feminine, I'll take the masculine side, and then we'll do a bit of integration.
Have I met Miller?
That sort of thing. You might have. She's like blonde hair from Argentina.
Yeah. She's cool. Yeah, she's cool. Yeah, she was at SO.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she was really cool.
Yeah. So a bit of that.
Cause does she do mediumship?
She does. She's a spiritual coach.
She does spiritual,
and she does Akashic Records.
Yeah. So it's similar thing.
Similar
that's psychic work.
Yeah.
No, well, that's like perfectly it. Like, and as I said, like, like psychic abilities are the feminine. Like that's what that is. Whereas, the way I like to kind of explain it is like, if the peak of masculinity is like, UFC, like full, what's the word for
barbaric?
Yeah, like full barbaric, but full like mastery of the body and your abilities to do with it. Like if that's like UFC or tree climbing,
Nice.
Like the mastery of the feminine is psychic intuition, because it's fully emotional mastery of the emotional intuitive state. So, that's why like a big thing that I push on this is like to develop your psychic abilities like as a male, because you will be able to connect in a way that like women haven't experienced before, because that's what they want. Like that's what they're after. They want that soul connecting thing. And I think that for women as well, like when it comes down to being, masculine in those kind of sense, I think it's more that like men, or personally at least, like for me, it's like, okay, like I'm getting up early, I'm going out there doing like really difficult stuff, providing, all this kind of stuff. Like men want a partner in crime, so to speak, like a woman who's going to have his back no matter what, and be able to like you don't need to have to like be able to compete with him, but to be able to support him and allow him to like be able to be like, okay, like I'm a bit burnt out from this, can you kind of take over and help, or like support me in that kind of way. I think that's, a good way for like a woman to kind of express her masculinity, like work out, be healthy, make sure to take care of herself in those kinds of ways. That sounds like a cool workshop. I'd be keen to go to it.
It's pretty sick, man. Like, Sarah and Dylan came to the Divine Union. They said they got a lot out of it. It's really cool. I think like there's just such a necessary space for it at the moment.
It's hectic.
No matter what side you sit on, whether you feel like you need to get in touch with your feminine side, or like from the last group we had, it was mostly men with like feminine wounds.
Yep.
Like from their mother or
they're hectic
being like emasculated, that sort of thing. They need to get more in touch with their masculine side. And then women, same sort of thing, whether it's they need to be able to step into their masculine more, or they've had to take on masculine roles because they're single mums or whatever. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
And again, like, yes, I think one of the main issues that a lot of people have is they just feel overwhelmed by the size of the problem that we're facing, and they're kind of like, oh well, like why would I put in effort trying to change things if it's just like on this downhill? But again, like, you have to start from the inside, and there's like we may be a minority, but it's so much better on this side of the fence. You know what I mean? Like, and
quality over quantity.
Yeah, straight up. And it's cool as well, because like anyone I talk to who I'm kind of like, yeah man, you should start on this journey, I'm always like, just let it be known that like it's going to be very lonely for a while, because the moment you start taking care of yourself and you start, you know, going against what you've been taught to do, like 99% of people are too afraid to join you on that journey. Yeah. And I know that personally, like I went through a lot of hardship, but like all necessary lessons of, you know, I had friends who were into the same stuff that I was into, like martial arts and like heavy music and like all this, you know, riding motorbikes and doing all this kind of stuff. And, you know, when I discovered, you know, my own spiritual path and all the things that I was doing and, you know, becoming more myself, I was like, fuck yeah, dude, like this is sick. Like, you know, you got to do this. And like, I would like not consciously project what I was wanting to achieve onto them. And, you know, and like sometimes like people just either aren't ready to do it or they have certain like traumas or triggers that affect them, that your positive impact may even like trigger them in a way. And yeah, the amount of like arguments and fights I got into with friends and like, you know, hang out with someone and find out that like my close mates have been saying all this horrible stuff about me, and like, you know, you kind of go through it and you're like, but you just have to realize that the path that you are on is not for everyone, and you know, they're going to continue living the way that they do, and you just have to get used to the idea of, you know, separating yourself from that. But
dude, that's like that's why I created Men Over Matter, because like that COVID period was so isolating.
Yeah.
And everyone like, yeah, you do. You're trying to change your life, and other people are happy living theirs, which is fine too. And then you're like, oh fuck, like it's isolating, it's lonely, and then you gotta find a community, a group of people that are like minded, and that can, because it is lonely. Like, oh man, especially when you're locked in your house, like you can't go anywhere, and it's like, what do I do? There's no one out like this. Like, why am I the only one?
So many push-ups.
Yeah, and then and then you find a community and you start to meet people, and you're like, all right, cool. Like, and you can, that way you can kind of manage your relationship with your old friends too. It's like, I can speak to the spiritual stuff about these people. I can talk about motorbikes and whatever with these people, and then you just create more friends instead of isolating yourself, I feel. Or you have like 100%. Different outlets for different emotions too.
Yeah, and I think as well, but like that's the whole thing though. It's like how do I explain this? It's like, because when you do go on that journey, and again, like your vibe attracts your tribe mentality, is that like you can, like, you will meet people that you just connect with on such an intrinsic level, like once you've done that work. But that's the whole part of it. Like, you know, the people that you may be hanging out with now who aren't fully developed or still doing all just like stupid shit all the time, like they're still very much in their, I guess, like trauma state or trigger state, and just their typical like not so conscious level of existence. They're just doing whatever the fuck they want to do, and they, you know, they take drugs because it makes them feel good, and they just go for like the immediate gratification rather than working on the self and, you know, planting seeds that are going to make a better life for them. So it becomes one of those things where like the mass amount of people, the way that they live, like they're meant to live like that, because that's kind of like the hierarchy of just the level of human you can be. And as you rise above them, you're going to meet other people who have chosen to rise above them as well. And you're going to make like connections that you never would make otherwise. Like all of my like close friends, like even living with like some of my best mates and stuff, like we have never had an argument. Like we never argue, never fight, never have anything bad to say about each other. Like, and you know, growing up, I never thought that was actually a possibility. Like there was always something to get upset at, or someone's done something. Whereas now it's like, rock up home, like, what's up, dude? Like, how's your day been? Like, you know, we just have a mad chat. We see each other every single day. And it's like,
so good.
You know, it's like, it's really good like that. And I think as well, like, again, you don't necessarily get the instant gratification, but by living a healthy lifestyle and taking care of yourself and putting yourself first, you will just naturally influence the people around you. Because when you've got a good energy, like, well, basically like the way you act in the world is a projection of what your inner world is like. And when your inner world is like nourished and you've taken care of yourself, like just by existing, you're going to affect the people around you in a positive way. And then, you know, on top of that, like what we've both done is like, we've both started podcasts. We've both started creating like online content, because now we're like, okay, I've affected the people around me. Now it's time to like explore how much of an impact can be made.
You know, how much better have our lives got after doing this stuff. It's like,
Yeah,
I want
it's so
everyone to
good.
feel this good.
Yeah.
I love that you said about like nourishing yourself. That's the other thing, like on our retreats and stuff, we do all organic food.
Yeah.
Like, and it's...
Do you go to Berry King? Is that one of the ones that you went
No, I
through?
go to Cherry Tree.
Cherry Tree.
Sounds very close though. But Cherry Tree in Beaconsfield, great organic meat. But yeah, we go there because the same thing is like, you know, you feed yourself the good stuff and you've got the good energy to give out to other people. When you're consuming cheap processed shit, like I feel hungover after I eat Like if I wake up in the morning and I've had Macca's the night before, I literally wake up feeling cloudy. I'm congested. Like,
dude,
it's so crazy, and that's part of being more conscious. I feel it's like, I used to get hay fever. I realized this because I was just eating shit like carbs and gluten and that. And now that I've cut that out, I feel so much better, and I'm consciously aware of like when I eat food, how my body reacts. Even like BO and stuff like that. If I eat too much meat and no fruit and veg, it stinks. Or like if I eat shit, it stinks. Yeah,
that's the thing is, like, I know like, this is just a random thing to add into that, but like, even I think like there's so much good that like, not even just like taking care of yourself does, but even like, because, you know, like say like you go up to someone, you say like you're proud of them, like how much that affects them. Like say that to yourself. Like I meditate, man, and I'm just like all morning basically. Like I get up at like 4:30, immediately take my dogs down to the park, and I just like sit there and meditate for like 20 minutes in the morning, and it's all just like, man, I'm so fucking proud of myself. Like the shit that I put my body through with like tree work and hitting the gym and like, you know, like riding motorbikes and doing martial arts and all this kind of stuff. And like just how well my body has like carried me through this life. I'm proud of the things that I've done. Like, you know, I'm proud of like the mental challenges that I've overcome. I'm proud of like how much humility I've learned to grow and the disciplines that I have and the integrity that I have and the way that I treat the people around me. I was like, you know, like I talk to my body and I amp it up for the day to get my energy good. And then once I've got that energy, like it's almost like, you know, I think like the reason a lot of people get anxious or depressed or anything like that is because they haven't like woken up and worked on a healthy, like they haven't built a foundation for what they want to base their day upon. And, you know, by meditating in the morning and being like, all right, cool. Like I'm feeling good. Like I've slept well. Like I'm doing well, I'm earning money, I'm saving because I've been doing this and this and this and this. I've been working on music, like my dogs have been taken care of and they're all happy. Like, you know, I've watered my plants, you know, like everything is going well and I've built this like really good structure for the day. And when you just like focus upon that and you set an intention and you're like ready to go, like your body feels on fire first thing in the morning and you're like, man, I am unfuckwithable at this point in time. And you know, it's like the things that happen throughout your day can't affect you anymore because like the vibrational frequency that you're oscillating on just destroys whatever the fuck they're doing. Like it calms their distortion down. You're just like, you've got like a beautiful harmony going on. And given that everything is vibration, like quite literally, that's how your aura kind of like affects people. And so it's just like, it's so important just to set an intention when you wake up and like actually, you know, like I see people get up and they're like, yep, awake, clothes on, in the car, coffee. And it's like, bro, that's like getting up on a 3-degree morning and just starting a car and just fucking sending it. Like it's so unhealthy for it. You need to let yourself wake up properly.
Yeah. I'd love to challenge or like offer a alternative word. You said proud was like the word you give to yourself, and I feel like proud of like the body and all that sort of thing. It makes it like finite because we're only in the body for a short amount of time. But I would offer a different word, and I would say grateful for.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I feel like gratitude's eternal because it's like thank you to spirit, God, something for like helping, because we're in this body for a limited amount of time, 100%. But we're eternally guided by something greater than us, and I feel like we're grateful to be placed in this place, in this body at this time, and I'm grateful that I've been able to achieve all the things I've been able to achieve in this body. So that's what I would offer that, because pride is like in the Bible, it's like pride is like an abomination, and like we look at what pride represents these days, and even the flag is like a flipped. It's the chakras flipped minus they put the root chakra at the top, which is red.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that's like greed, lust, all those sorts of things. They
Wow.
place it like the highest
Yeah.
importance. So that's
I
why
never
like
even noticed that.
yeah,
That's-
so like pride is a very interesting word, and how we give it power.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like pride is like feeding the ego, and gratitude is like more the spirit. That's why I was like,
well, yeah,
I'd love to offer that up.
100%. Yeah, and that like goes further into things as well, because like, you know, if we get into like the actual like the structure of the body is and like, as I said, like I read like all the Seth books and everything, and I think it's possibly in the first chapter of Eternal Validity of the Soul where he basically starts off by explaining what the ego is, and he starts it off by saying the ego is a jealous god. And that's the way that he explains it, but like not like as in like this person has an ego type thing. He like explains that, you know, there's different portions to the self, but the ego being the portion of the self that interfaces with physical reality. So that's like Josh, Brennan, and then you have like your conscious self, which is the one that has the thoughts, and then you have, say, like your subconscious self, which is a portion of the self which essentially makes sure that the body's rhythm continues to work the correct way. Then you've got like your higher self, which is the part that like contributes to in the dream state, the multidimensional version of the self, and then that's all kind of connected to this incarnation, which is then connected to your entity, which has an infinite amount of incarnations, which is choosing to project its consciousness into different timelines to experience different facets of the human condition in order to aid in the expansion of consciousness. And that's where it goes. And then you've got your entity, and then, you know, the entity is connected to whichever other sources, but it all comes back to like God, or all that is, or spirit, or whatever you want to refer to it to, which is basically like that primary gestalt of consciousness that came into fruition and essentially like projected its consciousness into everything that we experience. So yeah, like, so when you say like gratitude, like absolutely, because there's like, when I think of gratitude, it's kind of like I've worked with spirit or God or my higher self to create this. And then when I think of pride, that's like, I'm proud of the conscious decisions that I have made that have contributed to my life in a healthy way. But yeah, one of the most important things is, yeah, definitely like when he talks about the ego being a jealous God. So he goes into detail about how the ego came into development, and in the early eras of human experience, essentially it was a much less like physically oriented experience. It was much more of like an emotional, essentially like we were very like primitive in the sense that we went off instinct like animals do. Like dogs just go off instinct. They don't have an ego. They're not like consciously thinking about things. They just like, we just existed in this realm. But due to the amount of stimuli from physical reality, basically with the power of our mind and what we were experiencing, we were unable to differentiate the difference between actual experience and a memory or a fear. And because of that, the mind became overwhelmed with possibility and basically had anxiety over how to experience its reality. And that's where the ego came into things. It was a way for us to kind of like physically develop in order to be able to like differentiate what was going on.
That's what happened when Adam had the apple.
Well, that's what it's about. It's the development of the ego. That's what it actually is. And so like, but in developing the ego, it wasn't meant to be like just the ego. It was meant to be like, okay, we're still in touch with our subconscious self and our psychic abilities, and the fact that we are like God's couched in creaturehood, experiencing a human condition. But over time and through like evolution, like the ego became a lot more powerful and took control of what's going on. And that's, this even like ties into, say like even like the cause of like dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff like that, because toward the end of the lives, like you'll always find that affects people who are less spiritual than the rest, because the body has its natural, like we're not meant to fear aging. It's just because we've been so conditioned to be like physical. And as we, you know, not receding is not the word, but as we like transcend into the more emotional, spiritual state as we grow older and wiser, that fear of no longer being physical is what kind of makes people fear aging. And by fearing age, that's actually essentially a byproduct of self-hatred and not self-acceptance. And when you don't accept yourself, your body's not going to work in the way that it's meant to. And so, you know, we're meant to experience life to its fullest capacity. That's the whole point. That's why we're here. And we do naturally die, but dying is not like the end of life. It's just the termination of the ego and the expansion of consciousness. Yeah. So when people do actually start developing Alzheimer's and dementia, that's actually their consciousness drifting into the dream state, into the afterlife, to get them to get used to that expansion of consciousness. But because the ego is so used to having full control over the experience of life, they come back and the ego is like, oh fuck, like I'm losing control, what's going on? And that's what brings that fear and that anxiety out, because they don't know what's actually happening. And when people come up and they're like, oh no, Nan's going, like she's, and freaking out, they're in this state where they don't know what the fuck's going on for them, and everyone's freaking the fuck out because of what's going on.
Whereas, I guess I haven't seen an angry person with dementia, you know what I mean? They're just like blissfully ignorant.
Yeah, and like, so, you know, if we were actually to like treat Alzheimer's and dementia with like encouragement of like, oh, this is like a very exciting time for you. This is actually very spiritual. You're actually like developing your consciousness at a very rapid rate in preparation for your next chapter of existence. That would be a much better way to actually treat the Alzheimer's and everything like that, rather than fear, because you're only amplifying the fear of the transition that's going on. That was a bit of a back road tangent.
It's interesting though. Like I've never had a conversation like that about your thoughts on Alzheimer's and that sort of thing. It's interesting because like I've never heard that concept before. Yeah. So,
and it's also similar for like people with schizophrenia as well. Like that is because like with schizophrenia, because I took a lot of acid once, man. I told you on your podcast.
I have heard. Yeah, if you want to listen to that one, strap yourself in.
Yeah, bro, like full blown schizophrenia and psychosis after that. And like I was just seeing shit. Like it was just out of control. And but it wasn't until I realized that like, because obviously like schizophrenics, they see things that like aren't there. But that's to what science believes, again, because it's very like physically based. Whereas like when individuals have schizophrenia, because it can develop for different reasons, because like we all choose to incarnate in physical life, and you know, depending on whether I guess like our entity is pleased with the amount of like growth that we're having, there are certain ways for our higher selves to kind of be like, okay, I'm gonna like make myself a little more gifted in this life to kind of aid in getting this outcome out of things. And a lot of the times, like sometimes a personality will incarnate into a physical reality, and they're so used to like the stimuli that they've had from like these expansive dimensions that they come into physical reality and they're like, this is way too limiting. Like this is like, I need more than this. And it can like kind of form their consciousness to expand in a way where they do start perceiving things that aren't necessarily like physically oriented. And you know, obviously most people are like, oh, we'll just medicate you because that's not good. But in reality, it's a very good thing. That's like a very, very powerful ability, like psychic ability to perceive things that aren't necessarily like
three-dimensional.
And you know, it even comes down to like, even with like UFOs and all this kind of stuff, like we see these like lights darting around and people are like, oh, it must be a spaceship doing all this stuff. Whereas like, I'm sure there are cases like that, but a lot of the time what we see is actually like multi-dimensional entities or beings traveling through some kind of, you know, multi-dimensional reality and, you know, perhaps like dipping their toe into physical reality, but because what they are doesn't translate into anything physical, it appears as these strange apparitions. And then people are like, oh, like I'm seeing demons or something like that, or like UFOs and stuff. So it's all like very beautiful things that is actually going on. And again, like what I feel is like very important going into exploring, like your feminine nature and all this kind of stuff, is because that is the first step toward understanding the greater scheme of what's actually like.
Yeah. I feel like if we probably spoke about it last time as well. If we were properly consciously evolved humans, we wouldn't need, like, we would be man and woman together. We would just be one being, but we've been separated.
Yeah. And it's like, it's fun being separated. Do you know what I mean?
Like, yeah. Well, we're here to learn. Like, we chose this path for a reason.
There's a lot of fun to have, man.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, like there's like, life is so fun, man. Like if you can learn to kind of understand things on a way that's not necessarily taught to us, you know what I mean? Because again, like as I said, like we manifest our realities, like we create our own realities in the most basic sense of the word. Like we create our realities through our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. Like if you like for example, like if you have a thought about doing something, like say you want to go and buy something or create something or start a podcast, at the point of inception of that thought, you haven't done that yet. You mean like that doesn't actually exist yet. It's that thought that actually puts in the motion to manifest it. So in a very like real way, like your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are what create your reality. And again, like going back to the feminine nature of things, like being aware of your thoughts and your emotions and your intuitions will make you a significantly more like powerful man or human in general. And then working on your masculinity, which is like your ability to articulate yourself in the physical world, is how to make the most out of the manifestations. So like, yeah, it's a fucking cool subject.
Yeah, I guess like manifestation, the feminine side is like the gestation period, is like thinking about what you want, and then the masculine side is making it fucking happen.
Yeah, straight up.
Fucking do the work, get it done. Like, I want to have this business, want to earn this much money. It's like, yeah, that's a great idea. Like, that's awesome. Put that out there, and now it's like time to do the work, man.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. No, it's like, yeah, I love talking about this shit, man. And it's like, it's good when you have like someone who's willing to talk about it back, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. That's literally, I was listening to that podcast last night and I was like, I'd love to be in the room, like, like chatting with someone about it, like, cause like, yeah, it is a great topic to have. Yeah.
Yeah. But man, like, yeah, like, again, like, I guess to kind of like come full circle with everything, cause I think we are kind of slowly running out of time. Yeah. Yeah, like, I think the main point of, what we've kind of spoken about is just, like, don't subscribe to things that you don't believe in. Like, question the narrative of what's going on. Form your own communities. And, like, you'd be very... I think as well, like, it ties into the fact that people are so used to watching 3-second videos that the concept of doing something that might take 5 years is, like, why would I bother? But it's... I think like the main thing to remember is that it's not about what you're going to achieve at that 5-year point. It is about the journey. Because like, I think that something that people don't realize about the journey is that you are constantly achieving throughout it. Like things are constantly happening. You're constantly getting better. You're constantly meeting more people, constantly getting more opportunities, constantly like feeling better, looking better, expressing yourself better. Like there are so many like internal and external, like rewards.
Yeah, and if you're doing it for a greater cause, you'll be divinely rewarded for that work.
And at the end of the 5 years, like you're not gonna be like, oh, I did it. Yeah, you'll be like, okay, man. Like now the horizon is even bigger for me. Like now I have all of this like knowledge. And I can make that bigger impact. Yeah,
like, say the long-term goal is to be a CEO and you're an employee. Like, it's not nothing until you get CEO. You've got how many pay rises, how many promotions do you get to get there? Like, that's the goal. But, like, think about all the cool things you tick off on the way.
Yeah. So it's... I think that's it. Like, work on yourself. Go to a Men Over Matter event.
Yes, sir. Please do. Look it up on the gram.
Yeah. Well, we'll chuck all the links to everything in here as well. But yeah, is there anything else you want to kind of...
I want to ask you, because we were talking about dating pools and how small they are. How do you go with it? Because I find it so hard, man. Like, it's, like, I was joking, or not joking, I was saying how women like are making it really hard for themselves to find someone because they've cut off 86% of the population. Dude, as someone who's looking for an unvaccinated woman who, you know, is like, doesn't have kids, who's Greek or Italian with dark hair, that has tattoos, that's into the gym. Like, I don't know if any of them are even, like, it's hard to find any out there. So, or I haven't found any yet.
Mate,
so.
I'm single as well. Like,
That's not vegetarian, that eats meat.
healthy.
That's like, you know, the spiritual that's not vegetarian, that's already like small. Like, I'm finding it pretty tough.
Yeah. No, it's we're in the same boat here. Like, it's like I don't know. It's tricky. I think that, like, in all honesty, man, you just gotta, like, well, actually, no, I think that something that I've really done that helps, I think that, like, being patient is the ultimate thing. Like, and that's the most punishing part about it, is the patient part of it. But I think for me, like, so how long have we got? It's 11:22. When do you have to go?
Yeah, probably like 8 minutes.
All right. I'll try and wrap it up. But, you know, I think in terms of, like, actual manifestation, like, the thing is that what you focus upon is what will manifest in your reality. So, but the way that all that works is through, like, your intuition. And this is why I'm, like, talking about, like, the importance of developing your feminine side. Because if you, like, because I journal a lot, I, like, meditate a lot. If you, again, like, in the morning, like, spend 10, 15 minutes, like, meditating. But, you know, if it's, you know, meditate on different things, but focus upon, like, what your desires are for family and family life and a partner and everything. And literally just, like, go into it. And because, you know, we all deserve to have what we want. Like, we all deserve to have the best of what we can achieve if we're, you know, like, solemn people who are actually, like, giving people. And I believe that I personally deserve to have a partner who I absolutely adore and, like, am madly in love with. And so, you know, personally, I'll meditate and I'll focus upon who that person would be. And I go, okay, like, what would she have? Like, a lot of the same, like, qualities of, like, what you say, you know, tattoos, certain, like, even certain pheromones that she has. You know, is she creative or business minded, and how supportive is she? And I, like, will literally just focus upon what this woman would be, what my ideal woman would be. And once I have that in my mind, like, the template of that, I'm like, okay, like, what would she be attracted to? And then, you know, think about that. She's like, okay, she'd be attracted to, like, someone who also has tattoos, who's creative, who does all this kind of stuff. And once I kind of figure that out, like, what she'd be attracted to, I focus upon that and who I need to become in order to attract that kind of person. And through those meditative practices, something happens on an intrinsic level where all of a sudden the things that inspire you and, like, your intuitions will begin working from that northern compass kind of thing. Like, you'll start, you know, pay attention to your dreams. You'll start having visions. And, like, even when you're just driving, try to pay attention to what's going on in between your thoughts as well. Like, there's different hidden little tricks and stuff that go on that will give you the keys that you need to kind of become that person. But then as well, you also have to be a realist and be like, okay, like, you know, like, where is this person? Where is this person? And, like, how do I find her? And, you know, what communities would she be a part of? Which obviously, like, we both go to DOFs and everything. So that's a, like, really wonderful way to meet very conscious women as well. But yeah, I think that's it, man. Like, you kind of have to just focus upon the actual who the two of you would be, and to focus upon that, and that will begin sending you those intuitional messages of the things that you need to do in your life that will take you there.
Yeah. Have you ever written it down? Like, written down your ideal partner?
Yeah.
Yeah, same. And, like, it happened, but I wasn't specific enough.
Yeah.
And I, like, you know, when it ended, and I was like, yep, that's my fault. I wasn't specific enough. But it, like, it literally works. So I was like, ticked, and I told her about it. I showed her. I was like, look, tick, 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 tick. Obviously it didn't work out, but it was a couple of things I was like, oh, preferably this, preferably that. But it wasn't that. So I wavered on my values, and then that's where the fault was. So
but I definitely
crazy.
but I do know that, like since I have done this and I've kind of walked on this path, I've definitely found that, like, more women who are, like, similar to what I'm after have been attracted to me and drawn to me more.
Yeah. I always find it, is that like God, or is that someone testing you going, all right, here's close. Are you willing to wait? Are you willing, or do you want the easy one now? Yeah.
I think that, well, the way I kind of see it is like, the way I kind of like to explain things is say like your soul has its own like melodic harmony to it. You know what I mean? And it has its own like, you have your own song that plays and your aura and everything. And there is a certain someone, and you can alternate it obviously by the things that you do and the way that you develop. But you're like, I'm always trying to find that person who has the perfect harmony of what I have. But that doesn't mean that your song doesn't harmonize somewhat with other people, and that they can develop in that way. So there are plenty of people who it would work with, but you know, personally, like knowing like how we are, like we're after what the fuck we want.
Yep.
But I think that's it, man. Like, yeah, patience and just having faith in the process, and knowing that like, you know, like having a love that strong and that powerful isn't like, it wouldn't be that strong and powerful if it was easy to find.
Yep.
Like, I think that's like the main kind of thing to put into it. But, and I think as well, like something that helps me as well is just knowing that you never know when you're going to find that person. And like when you do, your life is going to be like thrown upside down in like the most wonderful of ways. And, you know, for me, like I plan on living till I'm fucking, I don't know, 120 or some shit. So it's like, I know that when I meet this person, which is most likely going to be in the next year or two, like that's the next like 70 plus years of my life, like with that person. So it's like how I am now, like on my own, single, like independent, like this is a very short amount of time that I'm going to be able to do this with my life. So I'm going to try and make the most of it while I'm here, while still actively kind of like putting out the messages to try and find that as well. But yeah, man, like we're both in the same situation.
When you figure it out, let me know.
It's cooked. But again, like meeting cool people, like meeting like-minded people, and you know, like being friends with women, because most women have cool female friends as well, and just connecting through that way. I mean, like Sarah and Dylan's group is cool. Like I've met lots of cool people through that, and yeah, like just being friendly and learning how to communicate with people. And
I think like the more women you're friends with, it makes you be a better partner in the long run, because you're getting all that practice of the communication thing and understanding them. But
yeah, man. Didn't expect to go so heavily into the dating scene in this in this episode.
So it's just been fresh on my mind, I guess.
But it's fair enough, man. I mean, like everyone wants to, you know, feel loved in the way that they desire, and you know, in a world where like love is kind of almost a haram thing to talk about, you know what I mean?
Especially with, like two blokes that look the way we do as well.
So it's one of those things, man. But no, but I appreciate you coming down and
anytime,
you know, like squeezing this in. Because I was very excited after our last 3.5 hour fucking podcast to continue.
Especially knowing that people like listen to the whole thing too. So you know, there's some value in it.
Man, I couldn't believe that. I was like, you listened to me for 3.5 hours? Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, literally. I was like, I did not listen back to that whole thing. I don't think that's too long. But it's awesome.
No, cool. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure to check out Josh's podcast. Is it just I Think You Should Hear This? That's a good name, man. I was like, that's a good name for it. I was like, fuck, I got to come up with something good as well. And then, check out Men Over Matter as well. Again, like I'll put all the links everywhere for all that kind of stuff. And I don't know how to end it. Thanks for watching.
Sick.